So I've been living in Japan for 2 months now, and I wanted to talk about the things that still shock me about living here. So I've gone to the convenience store and I've got some food. Some of these things I have had before, but some of them I haven't. And I thought I'd eat these while I talk about the things that still surprise me about living in Japan. Let's get started. All right, I'm gonna start with this onigiri. It's called chirimen sansho, sardines with Japanese pepper. I have had this before and I absolutely love it, but I haven't had it in a long time. It's those little chirimen sardines with this Japanese pepper called sansho, and oh my God, it's delicious. These ones don't have any seaweed on the outside, they're just rice, but the rice sticks together. Look at this, it doesn't go anywhere. So tasty. They're marinated little dried sardines with that Japanese pepper, which has got this really unique kick to it. If you do come to Japan, I highly recommend trying anything with sansho. It's very different to regular black pepper or like a Chinese type of red pepper. Very unique. With specific things, it goes really, really well. And these little sardines are one of these things.
Okay.
The first thing that shocks me has got to be just the convenience of everything. Convenience stores are probably every foreigner's favorite thing, which is fair enough because they are genuinely amazing. To have a single place where you can withdraw cash, send a parcel, print and copy, and you can buy snacks and whole meals for a single person at an affordable price is really the stuff of dreams. But that's only the tip of the iceberg. It feels like this whole country is designed to maximize convenience. Like, for example, you'll have those little packets of gums and they will have little pieces of paper for when you want to throw away the gum for easy disposal. How incredibly efficient and punctual public transport is. The fact that I can just tap my phone at the ticket gates at the entrance of a train station and there's absolutely no delay so that everyone can just fly through during peak hour. You have no bottleneck effect. You've got vending machines with cold and hot drinks, as well as public toilets pretty much on every corner. The mandarins don't have pips in them. And when you go to a supermarket to select one, it has a sweetness scale on each of the different varieties of mandarins, so you can choose how sweet you want your mandarin to be. It's just, oh, and the fact that you can literally reheat the ohuro from the living dining area. You don't have to go all the way into the bathroom to reheat it. You can literally press a button in the kitchen and then it'll let you know when their water has been reheated, so you don't have to go into the bathroom to check. So convenient. Another thing, this is a keep cup. This is a keep mug, I should say, and it's called cat tongue because in Japanese, nekojita or cat tongue refers to somebody that burns their tongue really easily with hot food or hot drinks, like me. So this mug has been designed so that instead of keeping the drinks at that boiling hot temperature, this keep cup allegedly lowers the temperature to that threshold at which people with a cat tongue can handle the hot beverage without burning themselves, and it keeps it at that temperature for over an hour. Obviously, I don't have a thermometer, I can't check, but after less than 15 minutes, the liquid in the cup reaches a temperature that is not too hot for me, and then it'll keep it at that, which is really nice. This is called koicha. So it's just a little bit of a more bitter, stronger Japanese green tea, and this is from the warm section, so it's a warm drink. And I love, love, love starting my day with a green tea. Number 2 has got to be the cleanliness of everything, and this goes beyond just having like cleaning stuff. This is like the fact that you can go to a public restroom, the toilets will be clean. The fact that you can walk down the street and there's no rubbish anywhere, despite the fact that there's no rubbish bins anywhere. I know in a previous video, I had some footage of a public restroom and I got a lot of comments about how dirty it was and people apologizing for that, which just really blew my mind. The reason that I was filming that was because I had just arrived in Japan and I was just celebrating the fact that you could have a public bathroom at a train station that was that clean. Like, it feels like the standard for cleanliness is much higher. There's just something very relaxing about how clean public spaces are in Japan. You know, things like no graffiti on the walls or very little graffiti. I don't think I've seen any graffiti since I've moved to Japan yet, which is pretty insane to be honest. There's no rubbish on the streets, no cigarette butts left in the gutters. I genuinely have no idea how such an amazing culture came about. Is it something that's taught in schools? Like, I do understand that there's a culture of cleaning up after yourselves and cleaning school property. So is that where that's derived from? Or is it just one small aspect of a greater cultural value? I don't know, it's really amazing. I have so much respect for it, and I think I speak for many other foreigners when I say when you come and you see that amount of respect for public spaces, it also makes you want to respect the spaces more. The guy that was sitting here, he saw some leftover rubbish that somebody else left over there, and he picked it up on his way home. Unfortunately, I imagine the longer I stay here, the more it'll become the norm and I'll stop noticing it, which is kind of sad to think about, but at the moment I'm seeing it everywhere and I'm appreciating it every day. So next up is this thing called Ika Somen. Korikori omae Ika Somen. So it's dried squid in little sticks, like noodles. So I guess dried squid noodles would be an accurate way to describe it. These are normally eaten with alcohol, I understand. That's just good. This will go super well with mayo, like a spicy mayo. Yeah. So good. The next thing has got to be the attention to detail. One of the things that is talked about a lot, but some specific ones that blow my mind on a regular basis have got to be the manhole covers in Osaka are covered in art displaying local attractions. So for example, the ones in central Osaka will have the Osaka Castle design on them. The ones in the north of Osaka will have manhole covers with the Tower of the Sun because of the Expo commemorative park in that area. The fact that every dish has an allocated place, chopsticks have an allocated place. And although they're not set in stone, it is a form of table etiquette that is often followed in restaurants and at home. Let's go these soybeans, salt flavor. Another thing that shocks me every time I leave the house has got to be how narrow some of the streets are and how good drivers are. You'll have cars navigating around each other, going down these streets that really have no business being two-way streets. It stresses me out watching this happen, but when I look at the drivers' faces, they're whatever, like they're used to it, you know, which is very impressive. Also, everyone's really good at riding bikes. Like the way that they can navigate around each other without running into anyone, without making eye contact is while I'm there like wobbling on my bike, trying to follow Kay around while he's like zooming through these super narrow spaces. I never thought I was bad at bike riding. Like I thought it was pretty average, but once I came here, I realized, turns out I don't know how to ride a bike at all. Anyway, this is what they look like. They're just little soybeans that have been roasted with salt. Oh my God, this is so good. This is the Calbee brand. Calbee never misses. We've got such a nice crunch. While we're on the topic of streets though, why do some streets have open gutters and not the closed ones? What's the logic behind that? Apart from the traffic coming from the main roads, it always shocks me how quiet the streets are. And I absolutely love it because I get overstimulated by noises very easily, so it's something I really, really appreciate. It occurred to me just a couple of Sundays ago when I heard children's voices coming from a nearby playground that even among all these apartment complexes, you very rarely hear people's voices. Walking down the street, I don't think I've seen anyone chatting on the balcony or throwing a house party. Like I understand that, you know, when you're in public spaces or when you're on the train not to use a loud voice. I understand the logic behind that. It's very respectable to the people around you. But I guess my question is, when is it okay to be loud? Are there any situations in which it's okay to use a big voice? Apart from children, obviously. So is it okay to sing in the shower? Is it okay to throw a barbecue in the summer on your balcony or in your backyard? In what kind of situations is it appropriate to be loud? Anyway, this is the big katsu oishisa up tonkatsu sauce flavor. I think I've had this before, but I can't recall, so I think it's essentially just supposed to be like a miniature version of katsu. It smells so good. Oh my God, correction. I don't think I've ever had this before. It tastes exactly like the deep fried pork katsu slices. This is blowing my mind. It's a very intense flavor, you know, as katsu is, but it tastes exactly like it. How did they do that? That's wild. I'm super nervous about this one. Sweet dried plums. The first time when I came to Japan, I had raw fish for the first time. I did upset my stomach, but that was over 10 years ago. And since then, I haven't really had any issues with Japanese food. I love, love, love trying new things. I love having natto for breakfast. And I do find that a lot of the unfamiliar flavors do grow on me.
The more times I eat something that I'm not used to, the more I get used to it.
Pickled plums though, haven't grown on me yet. I do try and eat them as often as I can because they're so good for you, but at this point I'm not a huge fan of pickled plum. I think it's that the flavor I'm not really used to. It reminds me of like a medicine I used to have when I was a kid, but let's do it anyway. That's what they look like. I'll give that a 2 out of 10, but serious question, semi-serious question. Why do we say that the traffic light is blue when it is in fact green? Like, I understand that the word for green, midori, was invented after the word blue, al, was invented, and that in the past, al was used to refer to things that were also green, including trees. However, traffic lights were invented after the word for green was. Therefore, this leaves me really confused as to where this concept originated from. And I have asked my Japanese husband, Kay, and he was like, yeah, good point. So every time we're at a traffic light and somebody goes, oh yeah, there, I'm just like, what? So this is one of my favorite things. This is called umaibo, and this is the mentai flavor. So these are super, super light. I believe they're a kid's snack, which is why they're 12 yen, but they're so tasty. I love these so much. Inside, it's like a hollow puffed corn stick, and the flavor is only on the outside. Oh, it's so tasty. There's like, I think about 10 different flavors. Most convenience stores will have like 5 that you can buy, but then you've got the less common ones which you can buy at like Don Quixote or something like that. But this is my favorite flavor. Another thing that I feel like is not talked about enough is how freaking hot it is on the trains. Like, it's winter right now in Japan, and you jump on the trains with these big puffy jackets on. And inside the train, it's a bloody sauna, and I've got my mask on, and I'm sweating. My hair's started frizzing up, and I look over at Kay, and he's absolutely fine. I don't know if anybody else feels it. I feel like I'm going crazy. It makes me nervous for like summer. I really hope they turn the thermometer dial down during summer because... And lucky last, we have this creme brulee. So a friend recommended I try this. I haven't had this before, and I'm very excited to try it. It looks really good. This one cost 338 yen. So this was the most expensive item that I bought. The Ohayo brulee. Yum! Oh, it's got instructions. まずはコップカップの横を押して少しへこむぐらいが食べ頃。テーブルの上に置きカップをしっかり押さえてスプーンをゆっくり刺します。え？どういうこと？カップの横を押してどういうWell, I've cracked it, so. Oh yeah, that's so good. Very creamy though. This is definitely not for people that have lactose intolerance, so I'll just have a little bit more. I don't know if I'm eating this right though. Anyway, finally, has got to be lines. So back in Australia, if I ever saw a line, I would avoid like the plague. People are not really willing to line up for things. Whereas here, it kind of feels like when you see a line outside of a restaurant or event, it makes you think, oh, it must be good. And this is something I'm still getting used to because they're very daunting. Some of them can be extremely long. So I guess my question is, how long is too long? How long is it appropriate to wait in line for something? How long would you wait for a ramen restaurant? How long would you wait for an event? Are these the same? But I think it is important to note that the speed at which lines move in Japan is much, much faster than any other country I've been to. One time when we were lining up for an autumn illumination in Kyoto, I think it was the longest line I've ever seen in my life, apart from like Disneyland. People had started lining up before the event had opened, but once it did open, the line was moving incredibly quickly because of the efficiency of the staff organising the event. They look much more daunting than they are in Japan, which I acknowledge. Like, how do you determine what is an appropriate amount of time to wait in line? If you have any insights to any of these things that I've been talking about today, go crazy in the comments. I'm genuinely so curious about these things. They're so interesting. The more I know about these culture and the rules and the social expectations, the less likely I am to embarrass myself. So it's very helpful. Thanks so much for watching my video. That's been my list of things that still shock me about Japan after living here for 2 months. It's just 2 months. What do I know? If you're still watching, you're an absolute champ. And if you liked it, please do hit that like button. Leave a comment about your thoughts and if you have any insights, things I should know, things I should try at the convenience stores. And consider subscribing if you like this kind of content. I make videos about what it's like to move to Japan and all the experiences and impressions that I have about this amazing country. So see you in the next video. Bye!
아, 131.
Happy birthday, dear Leon-kun.